Cleveland Clinic, Florida provides individualized treatment plans for excellent outcomes of health problems ranging from the most common to the most complex, even in cases considered untreatable by others. Cleveland Clinic, Florida. Every life deserves world-class care.
Yeah, what up? Welcome to the KVJ After the Show podcast.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. Always educational. I'm learning a lot of things, like if you're Ed Sheeran and you've got hit by a car on your bike and you've broken one arm and the other one's in a sling and you got to wipe your butt. There's many utensils out there that could help you.
Utensils? What, like a fork?
Yeah, there's Easy Wipe is one of them. Christine sent this to us. You just wrap some TP around it. It's soft, it's cushiony, and you can just kind of like take your hand and just swab that puppy right out. Yeah, there's another one that she sent us to. It does toileting, shaving, ointment application, and bathing, 4 tools in one. You can see there's a special applicator on KVJ TV for each and every single one.
Wow, one looks like it goes deep.
As
That's
deep
the way you like
as
it.
deep as you put it, my friend.
Don't go too deep.
Yeah. If you want to unclog your large intestine, go for it, baby. It can do it. Also, some other education here. Kayla said, hey, for those who were listening and my husband called in about the nickname Gooch, you're talking about nicknames, I want to clarify the people who don't know what it means or why I hate the nickname my husband gave me so much. Gooch is the spot between your ball sack and your asshole.
What?
He put it on my birthday cake last year with 30 of my friends there to see it.
I thought
LOL.
that was the taint.
I thought so too. I'd never heard the term Gooch.
It's a taint.
I thought he said cooch on the air, too. It was very confusing.
Yeah, I was confused because it said on my screen Gooch, so I went with it Gooch, and he's like going, a cooch. I'm like, cooch? Oh boy, I probably wouldn't have taken cooch.
Well, Denny, he was really torn up about it. Well, I was with him yesterday. He's like, I didn't know. I thought he said gooch, not cooch. Because you even repeated, go, is it cooch?
Yeah, I know. What?
I needed clarity.
If I said, hey, I want to pop that coochie on the air, is that an FCC violation?
I'm not sure that it is. Like I said, I think it. You have those are the ones we were talking about this a little bit earlier about swearing, and the FCC gives you, kind of like the 7 ones that are, without a doubt. And then there's a lot that are kind of like in between. That I think they're mainly talking about, like they really try to watch bodily function. Some of the really hard ones, F-bombs, C-bombs, S-bombs, I think they're still going to get you on those 3.
C-bomb? Is that the mother of all mothers?
That's the mother of all mothers.
Gotcha. Because definitely on that. But there's some other words, I don't know. People say, like I heard a show say butthole on the air.
Yeah, you can go butthole.
You can go butthole, really?
Yeah, butthole dick. That dude's such a dick.
I've heard
dick, yeah.
I don't think it's cool.
Can you say cock? I don't think you can. Cocksucker you can't say.
I think it's cocksucker because I think it's an act.
Got ya.
I think you can say cock, but you can't say cocksucker.
So you can say dick, but dick licker way out of bounds.
I think you're probably going to go into the act, yeah.
Okay.
It
All right.
gets graphic. They're the same way with bodily functions, the toilet, that kind of stuff.
I remember
emissions.
the first 2 weeks I was at when I got on the show, you had done a fart topic and our boss did not like it. Do you really think women want to hear about that?
Yeah.
And you did that fart ban and all these women called it. We love farts.
Farts are funny.
Yeah, that's right. The next day I went on. I'm like, my boss is telling me that no women find farts funny.
I just remember those kind of speeches. Do you guys really think a woman, 28 years old, who has kids, wants to talk about farts? Like, probably, because they got kids.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah, I got, my buddy Duffy. He is in radio, has been for a long time. He's a gay man that works in Chicago, does production stuff. It's one of his biggest peeves. He's like, I can't believe all these top 40 radio stations that are run by straight men, and they're trying to tell women and gay men about our culture and about what we like and about what's trendy. And he's
What's
like,
acceptable.
right.
Yeah.
He's like, from music to this and that. And he's like, it's one of my biggest. He's like, you need to have either women or gay men running top 40 stations. What are we doing?
My favorite is the male that's about 55 years old. Here's the thing. This is what women want to hear about. Motherfucker, you don't know. You read some paper that says that's what they want.
Yeah. No, I agree.
I don't like it.
Yeah, if women don't find farts funny, then tell my wife.
I think farts are funny, and I think it's not women, it's not men, it's just uptight people.
It's a personality.
It's a personality,
Yeah,
and you're gonna have
agreed.
guys that don't think they're funny too because I'm too sophisticated to laugh at farts.
Oh, I remember we were doing a bit, and I was talking with a girl, like we were just getting to know each other, and it was a fart topic, and she texted me during the discussion, farts are gross, not funny. I'm like, well, this is not gonna work out. I know. I couldn't believe it.
The balls on her.
I agree.
Let me see. Got an email from Samantha. She said, hey, it's Sam from Lake Worth. I was wondering if you guys have seen the video yet of the two girls at Roxy's rooftop that ended up dancing and then getting completely naked on the dance floor. Absolutely crazy.
Was this on Saturday?
I don't know. That's when we had Bamboozle there at Roxy's rooftop. I don't know.
I saw a few girls that were well on their way.
Oh yeah, people got real sloppy at that one.
People get hammered at Bamboozle, and that's what makes it awesome.
They get all sweaty in their costumes. Their makeup starts to run 4 hours later.
That's crazy. I haven't yet heard the story of that. If it's going around. Yeah.
Yeah, if there is said video, send it to us so we can see, like, if it was at our party.
Yeah, just kind of curious when that went down. Got this email from Gilberto. It's a meme that he sent. It's a guy that is crouching down on the beach, and there's a vape sticking out of the sand, and he's got his smartphone, and he's taking a photo of it very meticulously, putting a lot of thought into this. He says, if you're feeling bad about your life, just look at this guy taking a Sunset Beach pic of his vape. Trust me, you're doing just fine.
But to that guy, though, I mean, he's crushing it with that vape pic, and he's so happy about it. So, in a sense, maybe that guy's doing better than you because he's found his passion. He's found his peace.
He said he thought of Producer Denny's when he saw that. Let me see here. Therese thought of Virginia on this one. She said, hey, Virginia, so when are you going to be coming off the testosterone? Hashtag yikes.
Who knows what that was about? That could have been about several topics, Kevin.
First thing when I read that, I'm like going, okay, what was it Virginia said?
You have to be more specific about what I said to set you off, because I say a lot.
You really, because you had one day where, I mean, you could, you got to be specific. I tripped on my tongue. Specific.
I told you last week that I'd listened to this podcast, pretty interesting, with Richard Branson in it, and fascinating stuff. Just what he said from kind of how he got his start and being a businessman and what he had done, and just, some of his things, anything from negotiation tactics that he used. But then one thing that he talked about in the podcast was his view on the war on drugs and how it's just been an abject failure. Since we started it, drug use has escalated. The problems of drugs since we started the war has only gotten worse. It made it a lot worse. And so it's like, how many decades are we going to have to take fighting this drug war that is only increasing drugs before we realize maybe that's not the right way to approach it?
And it's expensive too.
Right, absolutely. And if you watch shows like Narcos, you kind of see the underbelly of it, and they said it's not about fighting a drug war. It's about fronting money, hiding cash.
It's always about fronting money and hiding cash.
Right. It has
about
nothing.
Money and power.
We don't care. It's not the fact that people are dying on our streets and overdosing on drugs. It's nothing like that. It's not about the corruption and crime that it brings to our cities. No. There is an underlying underbelly of all this kind of stuff. And the reason why we don't fight it a different way, where are we going to hide the cash? We're going to be able to move things. How are we going to be? What is going to be our motivator for being able to make the moves that we're making? Now we say it's because of the war on drugs. Why do we got all these soldiers over there? Oh, it's the war on drugs. But it's kind of interesting, if you look, and something has got to be done. Just looking at the OD deaths that have been happening. And, my wife is kind of in this field now. She had been working for a place that was dealing with women in recovery and their children, and just hearing about all the overdose cases that they had. And it's just like, wow, this is crazy. Deaths from fentanyl have leapt more than 400% in Palm Beach County. The tally rose from 80 deaths in 2014 to 324 in 2016.
What's fentanyl?
Fentanyl is the synthetic painkiller often used in medicine. But over the past few years, drug dealers have begun mixing it into heroin and pressing it into fake pharmaceutical pills.
Oh.
So it's getting worse. Broward saw a similar increase, more than 400%, from 44 people who died in 2014 to 180 in 2016. So, I mean, look at what's going on in Palm Beach County, though. Look at those numbers compared to Broward.
Yeah,
324,
that's crazy.
Palm Beach 180 in Broward.
Broco's got more?
No, exact opposite.
Okay.
Thanks for the help.
PBC's got more.
Yes. Yeah, they say it's 30 to 50 times more potent than heroin. And much of the illicit supply comes from Chinese labs marketed to drug traffickers in the U.S., Canada, and Mexico, according to the DEA. So, you know, we've criminalized all these things. Cocaine deaths, they say, are up. Cocaine overdose deaths doubled in both counties last year. 214 in Palm Beach, 265 in Broward. So more cocaine. Fentanyl's a bigger problem in Palm Beach. Cocaine is bigger in Broward. But, you know, it's just all these kind of like issues. The Colombian cocaine production is at a record high. Traffickers are bringing the drug into the southern half of the Sunshine State more now than in the last decade. DEA is overwhelmed. They don't know how to like fight this stuff and how to deal with it. They are just finding tons and tons of this stuff. So this is interesting. What Richard Branson was talking about. He advocates drug decriminalization to resolve the opioid crisis. Now, this is specifically talking more about the fentanyl and the heroin, but this would be along all things, all the way from marijuana, cocaine, everything. Now, he says traditional drug prohibition is ineffective. Richard Branson explains some important factors that are often overlooked, such as the role of economic upheaval, unemployment, and inequality. He said, we know that they increase the risk for addiction and decrease the odds of recovery in this crisis of despair. So a lot of it, we're just looking at like, don't do that. That's bad. But look at the social situation the people are in.
It's like, don't do that shit. My life sucks.
Yeah.
I want a bump.
I mean, you talk about, and this is it, the
Is that what they mean, though?
financial inequalities that happen in our society. Yes, the rich are getting richer, the poor are getting poorer, and the poor are finding drugs. And it's creating a big problem for everybody. The paper details the rise in popularity of the dangerous synthetic opioid fentanyl. This new drug is easier to create than traditional drugs like heroin, and it's 50 times more potent than morphine, making it easier for drug smugglers to transport it in smaller packages. The commission reports that fentanyl-related deaths have jumped by a staggering 540% over the past 3 years.
Wow.
It's killing people like crazy. So Richard Branson wrote, illegal substances become more concentrated and more dangerous under repressive policies, like how we've made everything just a crime. And then we're throwing all these people into prison. And then we got double trouble. The commission recommends that governments should not cut off the supply of prescription opioids without first ensuring that supporting measures have been put in place. The paper recommends increasing harm reduction and treatment programs such as naloxone distribution, low threshold opioid substitution therapy, heroin-assisted treatment, needle and syringe programs, and supervised injection facilities.
Wow.
So we're talking about actually giving you the drugs.
That's crazy. Did it work, though? It really did work?
He referenced in another country that in 2000, this one country, and he did, I don't remember the name of it, and I didn't see it in the paper, had the worst opioid problem in the world. They tried this, they flipped it.
Wow.
It's now small. Now the U.S. is by far number one. They said the most effective way to reduce the extensive harms of the global drug prohibition regime and advance the goals of public health and safety is to get drugs under control through responsible legal regulation. The paper recommends that the U.S. should decriminalize drug use and possession for personal use at municipal, city, or state province levels so that people in need of health and social services can access them freely, easily, and without fear of legal coercion. The commission also recommends that states that have not yet done so should legally regulate the medical use of marijuana. Richard Branson notes that it is striking that in states that allow regulated use of medical marijuana, overdose death rates are lower. It confirms that the most effective way to reduce the extensive harms of prohibition and advance the goals of public health and safety is to get drugs under control through responsible legal regulation. So that's what he's saying. Make it a health problem, not a criminal problem in America. So instead of locking everybody up, saying, look, you need help. We're going to try to help you out. And somebody, when I just even teased that we're going to talk about this, sent in a text. He said, damn it, man, Kevin, I have battled opiate addiction for the last 10 plus years. I want out so bad. It's just so hard. I really wish that I wasn't working so I could watch the After the Show podcast and hear what you guys would say. Maybe I'll watch it a little bit later. But I commend you guys for bringing up the issue because it is a big issue, and I want to hear what you guys have to say. So I don't know. It's an interesting concept. Whatever we're doing is failing.
Right. I mean, the numbers are going up and up and up of deaths, like tripling, quadrupling. So obviously we got to rework this thing.
Yeah.
And if they don't rework it, it just shows you they don't care.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's just kind of interesting to take that approach. That was his shift in the thinking.
There's a lot of people who think that, though. They think just go ahead and don't make drugs illegal. Make them legal, make them, and then you'll see a decrease. I think people always cite certain countries that have done that before where they had a drug problem and then they just legalized the majority of it and they seen it go down.
There's something weird in the mentality of it because when I was a kid growing up, my parents were like, especially my mom, she was like, no, like she was very like just repressive on everything. And it drove me to go drink and party. And I started off being the last kid to start drinking in the class.
I think Denny's was the same way. My mom got me, and I was scared for a while. I'm like, oh my gosh. I remember being my freshman year in college thinking, I can't believe they're drinking. Everybody in the dorm drank. I don't think there was one kid that did not drink. I was the last person to drink, and I remember I even said, I don't know, guys, if I should have this shot of vodka. I mean, they called me a pussy. They were making fun of me. It's crazy, but my mom scared me up to that point. But then once that that thing was out of the genie bottle, fuck, forget about it.
You're like, I love this vodka. Give me more.
It helped with anxiety for me. I know some people don't want to hear that, but for me, it helped me with anxiety issues. I think you can overdo all this stuff. And I think you got to know your. And I'm not saying my way is a good way. It was a kind of a surviving way.
Yeah, and I just know from my own personal. My mom treated it one way, I went the other. With my kids, we've been open. It's like, I don't really care. I mean, my son, he's back from college, and there's a couple like margarita mixed bottles or something like that was out, and a couple beers, and we didn't freak out, didn't say anything about it.
What would you be more upset about if he was over drinking or if he didn't drink at all and just smoked a doob every now and then? What would bother you more?
I think he might dabble. I've seen signs. This is my oldest son, not my 9-year-old, so don't freak out.
Oh, I was talking about Cannon.
The 9-year-old loves to hit the ball.
Oh, he loves doobies.
Yeah, I mean, we've kind of seen. I think he dabbles a little bit in the weed. I think that he drinks just a little bit, but nothing too crazy because we're all very close. We always text and things like that. He's a good kid. Like Saturday night, I know Friday he went out to a party at Michigan, and Saturday he was inside studying.
But what would cause you more concern?
They're both the same. Nothing. It's not about either substance. With drinking and smoking marijuana, I'm fine with both of those. Something like a heroin or something along those lines, then I become alarmed. So those two, to me, they don't freak me out. Any other substance of a higher level, then yes, I become concerned because of the addiction nature and also the criminalization of it and just how severe it is.
Yeah, you get caught with cocaine, you're going to be spending some time in the your life is figgity fucked for a minute.
Absolutely, and that's why it changes. So that to me, I put both the alcohol and the weed on the same level.
Or even prescription pills that are not yours. That can
I put
totally
that on a higher level
screw
too.
you up too.
Yeah, I put that on
I
a
knew
higher
a buddy
level.
of mine who had a prescription bottle that was not his. He had a little time.
Yeah. So.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Did he have any priors?
That's a good question. Probably.
I mean, look at him.
But I mean, that's another thing. I mean, there's some prescription pills out there that are brutal.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. And so yeah, I'd be more alarmed with all that. And I think the way to phrase it too was my mom was always like, "Don't do it just because I said so," and that was kind of it. My framing of it with my kids would be like, "This is about your life, not about my life, and here's what this is going to bring you." And I can tell you, this is what you can look at. This is what the end game is going to be here. Do you want that for yourself? Because that's what you're doing. It's your life. You're over 18. You get to make your own choices now. Congratulations.
I like that approach, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah. And like I said, my son, I think he dabbles, got it in check from what I can tell. And I do keep an eye on it and watch what he's doing. And we don't freak out about it. And I've talked to him about, just so you know, here's the consequences. And he was drinking in his dorm last year and got in trouble, and he got written up for it in his dorm.
Tell me a
and
little.
I said, and we just said, hey, look, I mean, this is something that what you're doing, you can't do. I understand you're in college and a lot of kids your age are going to be doing it, but don't do something that's going to affect scholarships you have, your status at the school and things like that. It's not worth that.
Tell me about this weed he's got.
Yeah, he's got a buddy. I think he dabbles a little bit in it. You know, there's been some clues.
Do you know that? Okay, what clues did you find? That's what's always fun.
I think he's been open with it. That he's not opposed to it, and
Listening
I think he does
to Zeppelin
do it.
all night long.
No.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I don't think.
I don't think Zeppelin's the answer now for the kids smoking the weed.
I think you're right.
Yeah, but it's nothing I freaked out. He knows the end game and the end results, and I said, "Look, dude, you're a smart kid." I said, "Here's your thing. You're at that point. You got to start making choices. Here's what I know about it. Here's what you would have to deal with." I'm not going to freak out. I'm not going to tell you that. If it were heroin or something else, yes, I'm going to freak out. We're going to have a problem, and I'm going to come lock him up in a small room. And my daughter Caitlin doesn't want anything to do with it. Doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, doesn't do nothing. So, and they both have a past. If they wanted to, I wouldn't freak out about it. So, I mean, maybe there's something there. The one thing I would say to Richard Branson's thing, hopefully people will come into this with an open mind and say, okay, we've been trying it one way and it's not been working. And this problem is worse than ever. So, I mean, at this point, wouldn't we try something else different? And saying, hey, look, let's get down on their level and say, hey, let us help you out through this.
Well, help, not punish.
Right.
Is the war on drugs? Does some fat cat get his pockets lined up with money?
That's what we're saying.
Yes.
That's why it's still going on.
Somebody's doing
Lots
it.
of it.
That's the problem that we got in America. I mean, with a lot of this stuff. And that's why people are disenfranchised with the system, of what is going on, is because you see people doing it for their own selfish means and not for the betterment of our society and the people that live in it.
But has the system always been like this? I mean, it seems like every generation they're always screaming at the man. They're holding us down.
Other countries are figuring it out.
But it just seems like, at least in America, if you talk to so many people in different generations, they're like, we got to rise up.
Every country's got their own problems. Every generation has their own issues as well. Yeah, absolutely. But, I mean, the numbers don't lie. What we're dealing with drugs now today is massively more severe than what we were dealing with drugs 20 years ago.
I guess my question is it going to always be where that fat cat will always win just because they've got more power? It's happened in every generation.
I think honestly the thing that is encouraging, and I know right now the world seems chaotic, and I think because it's flipping a little bit. Because it used to be the people in power had all the power. They controlled the media. They controlled all these kind of things. And I think now with social media, I think that the power and the voice is now more in the people's hands than ever.
You're right.
And that's why you're sensing and you're feeling this upheaval, because there is a movement. The people, the masses are pushing up against the few that were repressing that. And I think that part is encouraging. So as discouraged as you feel about the world, say, look, there are a lot of old fat cat ways that need to be undone and turned over and flipped. And the power's got to be in the right hands. And that should be of the people, not of the rulers.
As long as we don't tear ourselves apart in the,
Sure, in the process.
While trying to take out these fat cats.
It's a scary time, I think, but I think that there are also some exciting things that are happening. And hopefully, if nothing else, people start approaching things with an open mind and saying, yeah, we got to sit down.
What the shit does that mean?
Exactly. With everything that we're dealing with. Deal with an open mind. Let's, get the discussion out there and let's talk about it.
You know what it is, though? I just feel like people don't like other people who don't agree with them. Think about that. I mean, anytime when you hang out with your friends a lot of times you're hanging out with people who share a lot of similarities with you. I mean, do people really want to hear the other side? And you're like, oh, yes, I did learn something from your point. People would have to want that. Do people want that?
Ralston does.
It depends upon the people.
He loves hearing the other side and absorbing it and thinking about it.
But is he a rare cat?
Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
He's a unicorn.
Because not everyone loves to hear the other side.
I think that it's not happening in politics, but there are think tanks, groups, trusts that are coming together. People that are not, like Richard Branson is in like a think tank of 10 massively powerful people.
Who are better than everyone else?
Well, I think that they are thought leaders. They are people that have an open mind and they're trying to resolve problems, and they realize that sometimes being in politics isn't the best way to resolve some of the world's problems because of the red tape and all the, financing that goes into elections and things like that you can get more done when you're outside of politics. And so I think, hope, and trust that there are people like him. And you look at what is happening right now with some of the people out there. I think that the creator of Facebook is doing some really good stuff. Bill Gates is doing some good stuff. People along those lines are out there trying to do things to change the world.
Tom from MySpace, he started it all.
Yep, you're right.
Poor Tom. Nobody even talks about him anymore but you.
He's like a joke. He's a butt of a joke kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Now.
So hopefully there are people that do start listening to the ideas. And I think, it goes down to a core fundamental thing. We all want to feel right. We want to feel smart. And so sometimes feeling like your opinion is right and you're already right, you don't want to hear other people because it's almost like conceding the fact that I don't know everything.
Right.
And so I think there takes a certain sense of modesty to say, look, I don't know everything. I want to hear your side of it.
Well, that means you have to, go ahead and drop your ego a little bit and say, all right, I need to learn. And some people don't want to do that.
A lot of the people that you see in power have such massive egos.
Oh, yeah.
That's why they're there, that they won't listen to the other side.
But could you argue their ego got them in that position? They got them to the top of the hill.
Yeah, it might. And Richard Branson had said, because one of the final things that he had said on the podcast was, well, they was asked, what do you think about the leaders today? What do you think about the future and where it's going? He said, I think that there are some leaders that are out there and politicians that have the right idea, but they're not bold enough to stand out, because when you stick your neck out, things happen, and usually you wind up dead. If you start looking at the people that were the thought leaders that changed to Martin Luther King Jr., you wind up dead, and not enough people are willing to die for their convictions right now.
That's exactly what Corey Feldman was talking about, how he wanted to come out and name names about people who are sexually abusing him and other people. He legitimately said, if I was to name names, they would have killed me. And that documentary that I was telling you about, all of these boy actors, if they even got a little squirmy, I want to tell my parents, I want to tell somebody, they'd show them a gun and say, okay, people will disappear. People disappear when secrets get out.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I mean, it sounds like a movie, but if that is legit and real,
Oh, no, absolutely.
someone threatens my life and say, don't you ever fucking say anything about Taylor Swift again. We're playing her shit. I'm like, I won't say shit.
You actually do look what you made me do.
I don't like it.
You do. You were singing it. I caught you.
I'm learning it for karaoke.
Yeah, and there are, things like that happen all the time. I'm sure a lot of it's like movie stuff that we would be shocked if we knew the truth.
I think that's why some people didn't believe Corey Feldman, because it sounded like a movie. Then this Harvey Weinstein drops.
Has Corey ever said names?
He's not said a name. That's the one thing people get on. They're like, dude, just say the name. Say who it is.
He doesn't want to die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a lot of these guys have mafia ties. I really do. Maybe not like 1920, hey, babe. But I think they got some kind of criminal, like a Suge Knight type of thing, where they can silence people. And then that Hollyweird, it's nothing but pimps out there.
Yeah, exactly. So who knows? Another big social thing going on is the hashtag MeToo campaign that got going on Sunday. A lot of people talking about that, and it's starting to get some traction. All started, if you didn't hear about Alyssa Milano, she started the hashtag MeToo as a way for people to identify themselves as victims of sexual harassment and assault.
There is a difference, though, between sexual harassment and sexual assault. We
Yes.
do got to be clear about that.
Yep.
We talked about that because I think harassment has happened to a lot of us.
It's happened to everybody in this room. We've all been around. I mean, I don't want to speak for you, Kev. I know you have. I know other people that I've talked to in the studio.
And I think why they put it together, like the story that I read today, I thought was intriguing and insightful. It was about a girl in Delray that had just taken an Uber, and the guy had said, come sit in the front seat. She did, and he was saying things that were made her uncomfortable, and then he touched her.
touching her
He
leg.
was touching her leg, and the second time he went over to grab at her leg, she had to throw his hand off of her, and so she was really shook by that. And so that's something that really, just she was concerned for her safety. And, we'd had a story, an accusation that was made in town here, and you've heard some things that sometimes happen.
Terrible stuff.
Yeah. So, and I thought that was insightful too. Now, that didn't end in a sexual assault, but what she described is something that's wrong. I mean, to be put in that situation, have somebody that's pawing all over you, and you know that they've got the physical edge over you, and if they want to take control of you, they can.
It's awful.
Yeah. And so I think that's why it's also included. Tina sent an email. She said, I am Tina, a Nationer, and have reconnected with others from Virginia's magazine launch. She said, it means a lot to me that the Me Too topic is being discussed. I am a survivor of a horrific rape. As a survivor, it is a nice shift to see people discussing assault and harassment. I am afraid to take Lyft or Uber to a KVJ event in fear of the letter that Kevin read. I know when I finally make it to karaoke due to my schedule, I haven't made it yet, but I know to be safe and to leave safely. I'm always aware of my surroundings. I've listened to Virginia backing the survivors of Bill Cosby and at times cried because at the time I had no one like Virginia supporting me. Not a lot of survivors discuss this for a number of reasons. I'm blessed Lynn University allowed me a platform to share my story, and at the time, I saved over 100 girls and met other survivors. Guys didn't like my story because it was difficult to process. I don't speak out anymore, but I am always willing to share my story with others. I have both physical and not physical scars, and it's 21 years later. Thank you for everything you guys do. My love to you all, and Bigfoot is real, Tina.
And come out to Blue Martini.
Yeah, and really look into that app, that See Jane Go. It's all female drivers. They're trying to grow it. I actually had a female Lyft driver tell me about it. She's like, look, we got to spread the word with other women, riders and drivers. Everybody needs to spread the word about See Jane Go so we can make this thing bigger, and then you don't have to be in fear. You've got a female driver picking you up, and you're going to be safe.
But just keep in mind, though, just because someone's a female does not mean that bars them from sexual harassment or even rape. I mean, it does. And I know what you're going to say.
It greatly lessens your risk, and I think that's all. You want just a safety cushion.
We got a text earlier when we were talking about it during the regular show. The hashtag MeToo is not for men, they put. It is not a general statement about sexual harassment and assault. It's about the systemic treatment of women by men in the workplace or just walking down the street. Men do not deal with this from their very first job. They may have an incident, but it isn't at every job they work at, was one of the texts that came through on it. Then we got another text later on the show. This one said, as a male, I've been touched in an unsafe way. Now, I'm 6'3", 215 pounds, an ex-college football rugby boxer, and I get touched by women all the time. I've been forced to have sex with a drunk girl because she threatened to call the cops on me for kidnap if I didn't sleep with her. She was a friend of mine who was too drunk to drive. I get groped at parties and clubs by men and women, but I can't hit anyone or I get in trouble. And it's embarrassing if I say anything. How does someone like me say me too without somebody belittling me?
Well, that's just it. I mean, okay, let me ask you something. If a woman comes up and grabs your dick and you don't want that, that would make me uncomfortable. That has happened to me before.
I saw it.
Yeah. So, but I mean, we laugh. You're like, but that's not awesome. My point is, it does happen to other people, not just women. And I know that some people get mad about that, but that is a true thing. It is.
Yeah, I think that Me Too should be inclusionary, not excluding. I mean, a lot of young boys have gone through this. A lot of young men have been taken advantage of by powerful gay men, and it's just
Virginia. Other women,
by other women too.
Women do. I tell you, women do it a lot, and they think because it's an entertainment or because they're trying to be fun. Imagine if I was to grab some girl's crotch. Oh, look how funny that is. Why is it okay for a girl to do that to a dude? If we're talking about breaking down walls and barriers,
I hear you. That vein in your neck is popping
out
again.
Passion. I'm not mad. It's passion. People always misconstrue that. I'm not mad.
Well, I mean, it is, it started out the Me Too, and, I don't think Alyssa Milano said that, hey, this is only for women. I don't think that was one of the specifications that she said, and I think that women are getting upset saying, oh, of course, here come men crashing the party and crying, oh, woe is me, but this is a thing about physical dominance in the workforce and all this kind of stuff, like the first text had said. But you're right. I mean, if it is about Me Too creating awareness, I think it is valuable for some people to realize that, hey, like that guy is talking about he was blackmailed into the situation, because you look at it, and this does happen, where there are false reports of rape, which are horrible from the male perspective. And if we can just get our viewpoint out there real quick, when that does happen, to me, that's just as bad as the flip side of it, because it demeans all the legitimate cases of rape that are out there, and it makes you sometimes call into question about rape, and it's awful.
And it ruins an innocent person's life.
And if what that guy said in his text was true, he was threatened, saying, "Hey, look, I'm going to say that you raped me if you don't have sex with me."
Well, I mean, would you doubt if a woman texted you that?
No.
Okay, see, I mean, that's my point. That's why guys don't speak up about it, because they get made fun of, or people are like, oh, come on, you're a dude. There's no way someone hurt you that way.
It's a double standard because it's equally offensive when it happens to a dude as to a woman. But I think just what these women are saying is that, we feel so much more vulnerable because a lot more times, guys overpower us. And I think that's where they're coming from with that.
And I understand that. And I totally do.
But you're stronger and whatever.
But I think both are eye-opening. I'd like to hear both. I mean, for me, and this is obviously the guy perspective, but from me too, I got new perspective based on the email about the woman in the car with the Uber driver. That was fascinating to me. But I also got new perspective of the dude who's 6'3", 250 pounds, and how he winds up in a situation.
Well, that's my point. Yesterday on Facebook, a guy shared his story, and then the one girl said, this is not about guys, just like you're saying, and he was getting belittled because he was trying to share his moment too.
Nobody should ever be belittled for sharing their moment of when they were sexually harassed or sexually taken advantage of.
That's all
they
I'm
jump
saying.
out on the Me Too and say, hey, because it didn't say, hey,
didn't.
ladies only.
No.
This is a ladies club. And
I read the initial post from Alyssa Milano, and
Right.
it did not say anything about ladies only.
That was my only point. That's why I got passionate over here, because it does happen to dudes. And if there's a whole thing going on about that, they should be involved in it too. Because I think what we're doing, talking about it, is
creating overall
Of
awareness for
course.
everybody.
Yeah.
Well, you look at somebody like Corey Feldman. I mean, he is scarred for life.
Of course he is.
He carries it around because it happened to him as a young boy.
No one believed him. Barbara Walters, she belittled him in a sense. Did you see the clip?
Yeah,
And she's
I did.
being called out now. She was more concerned about the industry being
industry.
damaged. It's
Yeah.
like, come on.
Someone in the chat room said my husband was fired because he wouldn't have sex with his female boss.
Wow.
It happens, man. I'm
And
telling
so-
you.
Is awareness, just so you know, that's how you say, how's a guy sexually assaulted with the power and the size that he has? Well, there are different points of pressure that are put on him. And
Yes.
you can say, hey, look, you weren't assaulted because you were able to walk away from it. But, there are at least the awareness, and not saying it's on the same level. Look, we're not here to compare.
No,
it's not
we're
a
not.
scoreboard.
We're
It's
not.
certainly not a competition to
Yeah.
see who's been hurt more.
Absolutely.
That's such a yucky way to look at
And
it.
That's not what guys are saying.
that's
Not going
not my
saying, hey,
point.
we're equal, or anything like that.
No.
It's just saying, look, hey, let's just create overall awareness of the different kinds of harassment that are happening and how.
I have just heard over the last 2 days that it was a lot of, a lot about men hurting women, and nothing about at all. And it's a real thing. That's all I was saying. I'm not trying to take anything away from anybody.
Yeah, well, appreciate the stories. Honestly, it helps shape my perspective, and that's why I like to hear things like that, because you're like, okay, now you get a better idea as to what is going on out there. So it's all positive to me.
Just want to treat humans nice. All humans,
Absolutely.
everybody.
Absolutely, yeah. And the more awareness that's out there, the more that when people say this kind of stuff, you'd be like, okay, I've heard of that. Makes sense. Let me see. Just one real quick note from Perla. Said today is American Icon Brewery opening day. Starts at 11 a.m. Boom, like right now, till midnight. She's a hostess, and she said, let me tell you, their beers are truly amazing, and I'm not a big beer fan. So I know for a fact Virginia will love the gourmet ingredients in the food. They look and taste heavenly. It's a gastropub where the last diesel plant stands. All the others were blown up for demolition. Love to hear back from you. I looked it up, and I think American Icon Brewery looks like it's in Vero Beach.
Okay.
So there you go. Little quick heads up if you like that game. All righty. It's going to do it for us. Hey, we'd love to see you guys come join us for some craft beers. I'm going to be drinking a few before the KVJ 5K on Thursday. $35 for adults, $30 for the kids. Proceeds going to our charity Little Smile. So you're doing it for a good cause. It's going to be a great party too. Reggae bands, music, food, games for the kids. Bring them on out. The adults too. They got glow-in-the-dark cornhole and ping pong going on.
And everybody gets a free T-shirt. Well, not free. You're paying for it with the registration, but it's included. I mean, you'd pay $20 just for a shirt anyway.
Yep, KVJ5K.com. You can go sign up or just come out on Thursday and see us there. We'll see y'all later. Goodbye.
Cleveland Clinic, Florida provides individualized treatment plans for excellent outcomes of health problems, ranging from the most common to the most complex, even in cases considered untreatable by others. Cleveland Clinic, Florida. Every life deserves world-class care.